Okay, you guys. Well, thanks for having me on the call. First of all, I'm excited for this topic because I think this is actually an area that a lot of people struggle with, a lot. Okay, and so I think there's some core principles that work, and they work whether you're doing an in-home event or you're at a booth or you're just at a conversation. It doesn't matter. These things work. And I love to say, knock them off the fence. You know, when we're talking about closing, really it's about getting people off the fence. Get them to give you a yes or give you a no. Okay. And think about in your life, don't you think that one of the worst places to be is indecision on something? You know, something that actually that like keeps you up at night is this place of indecision. And so what we want to do is bring people to a good decision for them. I get a yes or get a no, but get a check mark. Okay. Obviously we want yeses. We want them to say yes for their health, most of all for their health. Second of all, because yes, that helps us, you know, growing our team and what we're doing. But we do want them to make some sort of a decision. Now, keep in mind that a no does not mean no. It means not now, okay? They might not get it now, but we just want to move them. And you do not have to be salesy to do this. I'm not salesy. I'm not. You know, when I'm doing wellness presentations and events and things like that, I'm not. But in a very warm way, I can be effective. You know, I can be professional at what I do, which is know my stuff and help them make a good decision for themselves. And that's really what I want to share with you today. And I do think this is one of the harder skills for people to learn if they've never done anything like this before, because they don't want to sound salesy, right? That's the number one objection we hear from people is, I don't want to sound like a salesperson. Well, neither do I, neither do any of us, and you don't have to. But it is a foundational skill. Because in our business, we want to build a deep well of customers. Okay, super important. And if you look at this, you guys have seen this visual before, right? Get on the fast track to health and wealth. You know, this visual that's walking people through those initial steps of our bonus program and how they're going to create success in their business is determined on how well they're building that customer base. And again, the skill of closing is foundational in how well they do that. Okay. So, and by the way, you know, this is something I really want people to be focusing on down there at the bottom where it says 40 Trio customers is a $750 a month residual income with nothing else. That's not with team. That's not with anything else. That is just a 40 Trio customer base. It's a lot of money, and a lot of people will be interested in that. So how do we do that? And I want to take you back for just a second into the psychology of what we're talking about, of that indecision place. Okay, so think of a time in your life where you were thinking about purchasing something and you hadn't decided yet, and you're going back and forth, and you're like, should I, shouldn't I, weighing things out. And then you finally decide, the decision's made. What happens? You're excited to get your stuff, right? You completely move out of that, oh, should I, shouldn't I? And now all of a sudden, I'm just excited. Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm excited. I can't wait for my stuff. And so that's really where we're moving people in this process. Now, I want you to know, and I know you guys have heard this before, that the number one reason people buy things is because someone asked in some way. Now, how you ask is how you ask, and it might not be the way that I ask. But it might be something like, are you ready to try it? Did this make sense to you? Are you ready to get started? You know, would you like to try it? All of those kinds of things are questions that you can ask people to see if they're ready. Okay, and here's the key, you guys. You can't be afraid of the no's. Again, a no means not yet. I can't tell you. I mean, after sharing Juice Plus for over 20 years, you can imagine I mean, I have people that come out of the woodwork from years, decades ago that I've talked to about Juice Plus, right? Like Janice, exactly, you're raising your hand, that said no. But I continue to drip, and I continue to maybe, drop it in here or there, share a story or invite them to an event or something that eventually, oftentimes, I will get a yes later. So don't be afraid of the no's. There will be a percentage of people that get this right from the beginning. They'll see it and they're like, oh my gosh, fruits and vegetables in a capsule, that's the best idea I've ever heard. Sign me up, right? They will be that percentage. Then there's a whole other percentage of people that are going to mull about it. I used to be a muller. I'm not anymore. I guess with big things I am. I tend to mull about things. And Sean knows that. Like he'll be like, are you still mulling? I'm like, yeah. I'm still flipping around back and forth in my mind. I don't tend to be a quick decision maker on things I don't know a lot about. If it's something that I know about, I can make a very fast decision. But I do homework. I read reviews on things. I look at things. I weigh things out before I give a yes or no. So when you run into a muller, you're probably not going to get an immediate yes. You're just not going to, because they're not wired for that. So don't get frustrated with that. It's all right. They don't have to give you a yes right now. But we want to give ourselves the best odds, the best chance that somebody would say yes to us. Okay. Now, there's a really important distinction that I want to make here. A lot of you know that Sean and I sold books door to door in college, right? And we learned a lot of stuff doing that. I'll tell you, it was amazing. We went to a week sales school in Nashville that was incredible. And I remember when we did that, there were corporate executives from big companies sitting up in the balcony of the Nashville, that big, beautiful, whatever auditorium we were in, watching the sales school, like how they turn college students into people that can go out and sell door to door. We learned some great stuff. One of the things that they taught us, and this is so true, that when it comes to anything, there in the buying decision, there's two parts to it. The first part is, do they want it? The second part is, then how are they going to pay for it, right? So people have to know that they want it. They have to see the value in it first. And then you can move into, okay, now how are they going to pay for it? And what happens a lot of times is people will use money or price as an objection when that actually isn't the objection at all. That's the easy one, right? That's the easy one. Oh yeah, I can't afford that. Whatever, that sounds expensive. And that's not their objection at all. So make sure that, first of all, when somebody is giving you a price objection, and that'll happen some, although I'll tell you, I don't get it much anymore. I really don't. I think people understand today the value of Juice Plus and why fruits and vegetables and why it's so important to have this incredible variety every day. So we don't have to do that convincing so much anymore, but make sure that you are separating that. And that's one of the reasons why I really love that we are doing events. And events plus the stories, okay? That's where people are going to get the facts. That's where they're going to get their information to make a good decision. Those stories are what is going to inspire them to want to try this. All of that is wrapped into all of our events. So whether you're doing a healthy living presentation or a booth or a Facebook event or a Zoom event, we're starting to do a lot of Zoom events now. That's a great new customer look. If people have relatives and family out of town, how great that you can get them on a Zoom call and walk them through a web walk or through your juiceplus.com, or take them just like you would do on a Facebook event, kind of, only you're using Zoom. So great. So they're getting the facts, they're getting the information, they're getting the stories to inspire them in there. And then it's our job to lead them to a close, to lead them into a good decision for themselves. All right. And how do we do that? One way is take their temperatures. So out on the book field, we always call this trial closing. Okay. And again, that sounds really, really salesy, and we're not salesy, but guess what? That principle works. And what that means is you're taking people's temperature as you're going along. Okay. So the bottom line is we want to let people buy and make it easy. And sometimes people just drag things on and on and on where they've actually sold them and then they unsell them because they have taken so stinking long to get to the end and ask for the sale. It's like you've talked them in and out of it in the same conversation because it was too long. So take their temperatures with quick questions. And these are some examples of how you would do that, where, do you see how this might help, whatever their situation is, which hopefully you've already asked questions. You already know what they're struggling with, what their pain is. And, if little Susie has eczema or something, it within your presentation, especially if it's one-on-one, do you see how this might help her with that? You can see what it's doing for other people. Does that make sense? What are you doing now to help with that? Do you see how flooding your body with, great nutrition could make such a difference for this and this and this? So those are just little questions. Those don't sound salesy. They don't. You're just asking them, does that make sense? Right? But what happens from that is you get to take their temperature and you get to know where they're at. And for some people, it might be like, oh my gosh, yes, my daughter will not touch a vegetable, and this and this and this is going on. Wow, this is incredible. Close them, okay? Don't drag it out for another 30 minutes. Go ahead and take their order. You can follow up behind that with more education, if that makes sense. But go ahead and take their order and let them buy. Okay, so you're doing this in a warm way. Now, what's the other thing that could happen is they're not ready, or you get an objection. Well, guess what? Objections don't mean no, and I want them. I try to get objections out. I try to get people, if I can see somebody, I can see that they're struggling, something's holding them back in the back of their mind, I want them to tell me what it is. I'm not afraid of objections, because guess what? We have answers. We have answers to everything. I don't think there's an objection out there that I couldn't answer, or at least get them in touch with somebody that could answer their objection. So if they have an objection in the back of their mind, they're not going to do it anyway. They're not going to be a yes. So let them get out with it so that you can answer it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Don't be afraid of them. We have great answers. Let them come up. Okay, so as we're going through this process of, whether it's a booth, whether it is a conversation, whether you're doing an in-home event, which I hope you're doing tons of those because they still work incredibly well. First of all, let me say this. Keep the flow going. Sometimes we see, especially with newer people that might be a little bit nervous, as you're pulling out the price sheet and you're getting into the nitty-gritty of people buying and the pricing, sometimes, especially newer people, will all of a sudden start talking about something else because they're nervous. They're nervous about that process. And what happens is it takes the focus of the conversation off what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. And then it's like, okay, now I have to bring it back to that order form, and then they take it off. No, or back to the order form. So don't break that flow of the momentum. As you're moving in, again, whether it's at a booth or an in-home event, there is a momentum that comes into the order process. And we set up those events very well with a flow that works. You started probably by asking some questions, why they're there, and, what they hope to get out of it. You know, you're sharing your story. They watch a video. They hear a couple of other stories. You know, you're mentioning a little bit about the research, not too much because you don't want to overwhelm people, but just a little blip about that, a little blip about that. Here's another story, and boom, here's how you buy. You're assume that people want it, and let me help you make this process easy. This is how you can get it. Super simple. Boom, boom, boom. So you're walking them through the price sheet. Now, one of the most powerful words in advertising is the word free, right? People like free stuff. I know I do. It works. It works on me, and I know what they're doing. And it still works on me. So we have a couple of opportunities for that in our events. Number one, obviously, is our Children's Health Study. What an amazing program. It's amazing that their kids from ages 4 to now college, age kids can get their Juice Plus for free. That is an incredible value. And so sometimes that right there, boom, wow, really? Okay, let me show you how that works. And you can get their order right there. Okay, and let's say, all right, maybe they're still hum-hawing around and you don't quite have them. Well, here's the other thing that I love to do at events and booths and everything is offer them, if they order at the booth, or if you go ahead and order tonight, then I'm going to send you home with a free week's supply. And what I do is 5 reds and 5 greens in a little tiny food grade quality baggie that they can then go home with. Remember that once they've made a decision, they're excited for their stuff, right? So give them their stuff so they can get started. They're excited now. They decided. They made the decision. Okay, now I want to do it. So this gives them enough to start on 1 and 1, every day for 5 days, which then gives them probably enough time to get their order. Depending on where you live in the country, if you're a little over 5 days, you might want to do like 7 and 7. But that's letting them get started, nice slow start, and then their box comes and then they get to go. And it's amazing how that one silly little thing, it seems like a little thing, but I have seen so many people go from a I'm still on the fence to, okay, I'm going to do it, from that little baggie. So worth it. Okay. So again, that's a free thing that you can offer people. I also love to use the word imagine when I'm talking to people, especially that's really good for a one-on-one thing. Or if you're in a small living room or something and somebody's circumstance or what they're struggling with health-wise, to be able to say, imagine what flooding little Susie's body with all of this nutrition every day is going to do for her, right? For this eczema, for this whatever. Imagine, and maybe throw another story in. That's a great way to move people, is to give them another little story. We're not overselling it. These are real stories. But this is what they're interested in. This is what their pain is. This is what they're experiencing at home. And this is what happened for this family who was in a very similar situation. So it works, you guys. And then I love this verbiage that Leslie Shermack shared with everybody at the conference, and the whole company is grabbing hold of this. And it basically is as you're coming to the close of your Inspiring Healthy Living event, okay, then you can say, in closing, there's that word, it's okay. In closing, there's 3 ways to be part of our mission. Okay. The first is to become a customer, and add Juice Plus to your own diet. And, we hope you do that. That's the reason our mission exists. Okay. Or the second piece is, I have a couple of friends, you may have a couple of friends who would benefit from adding Juice Plus to their diet. Well, guess what? It just makes sense to be part of our mission then, and join us, because you're going to save money on your own order, and you can actually earn over $200 by just sharing Juice Plus with 2 or 3 other friends in the next 30 days. You know, we'll help you do that. Or the third thing is that you're really seeing how this can impact a lot of people, and you want to join us, you know, and help us expand our mission and start sharing Juice Plus with more people in your life. Oh my gosh, we would love that. So ask them then, you know, what would you like to do today? Don't be afraid to ask that. You know, are they a 1, a 2, or a 3? What would you like to do today? And then for those people that are number 3, or actually 2 or 3, they want to join. This is on the back of that sheet. So if you've got your clipboard set up so that you've got your, I'll tell you what I put on the top is that ingredients page with 85, you know, ingredients in Juice Plus. So I start with that and then move into the order form, the pricing sheet, and then move into the sheet I just showed you with this on the back. So if they want to join our healthy living plan, all they do is flip this sheet over, name, credit card, you know, for their $50, etc. This is all the information you need to sign them up as a rep. And then those stars, those 5 stars, are who would you like to share this with? Who would you like to help get healthier? You know, who do you know? And they actually write down 5 names right there. Boom. You're ready to start and plan some events for them and get those on the calendar so that they can get their HLP bonus. So that's kind of the process. That is the process. That's the process I go through, and some of the key philosophy that we have just seen over 20 years of doing this that works. And these concepts, they really don't change. You know, concepts don't change in our business. Our tools change. Our tools change a lot because we're a very forward-thinking group of people. And so with new technology and new things, we're constantly tweaking and refining, and those are our tools. But the concepts and the philosophies remain, and I hope those made sense to you.